Hey Glampers.
Hi, we're Mike and Joni with Those Who Glamp Together. Well, we decided to jump on the Harvest Host membership before the price change. So we wanted to give that a go this year, and we have had, so far, we're at our 6th Harvest Host this year.
So if you hear a generator running, it's keeping us powered up because we are at a Harvest Host.
So one of the things we wanted to do is kind of go through each of the Harvest Hosts that we've experienced and give you some pros and cons. So our first one that we went to was
Kickapoo Creek in Illinois. Now that was a winery, and the night we was there, they had a big shindig going on where they had a big tent up. They had a really nice jazz band playing.
Only con that we experienced right off the bat was when we pulled in, there was no signs for where the Harvest Host parks. To me, it just brought more frustration.
It wasn't structured very well as far as where Harvest Host people park. What about pros? What was your pro with it?
I love the live music. I love the grounds that they had there. They had like walking trails, and they kept up on the grounds really nice.
So my pro and con is basically the same. The space where they parked us, there were 4 of us parked there. The con is there's 4 generators going on in close proximity. We were pretty close together, which, I mean, you got to expect it with something like this. Yeah. The pro for that, though, is we were with 3 other Harvest Hosters, and we talked to all of them. Yeah. We hung out. We sat and ate together with a couple of them, and just enjoyed the night together. Yep. And another pro to me that she had already said, the grounds in this place was probably the prettiest one that we've seen so far.
Very pretty, yeah.
And we've only been to 6, so I mean, take that with a grain of salt, but that was a beautiful property.
Our next Harvest Host
This was
farm.
the Stensland family farm in Iowa.
Yep.
Now this was a dairy farm.
Yeah, I really like this place. We got there so late that they were technically closed. But the next morning, if we would have stayed just a little longer in the morning, which we didn't, unfortunately, we would have gotten a tour. But it is literally just we had a long drive that day. But it was nice that they allowed you to just go in the store and you just filled out like what you bought, and then you put your money in this box, and then you were just done for the night. So it was nice being able to buy ice cream.
It was a dairy farm. Yeah. I mean, they made their own ice cream.
Yeah. It was awesome in that sense, but I would say the negative was the smell, because you're right there.
It was a dairy farm,
and it was a big dairy farm operation.
Yeah,
so
really big.
And it was so cool out that at that time we did keep the windows open. I don't know if that was a wise thing to do, but it is what it is. So
yeah. What about the pro for you was?
The pro for me is I grew up on a farm, not a dairy farm, but I grew up on a farm, so I like those kind of settings. I typically, if we have to pick out a Harvest Host, I'll try to get a farm.
The pros and the cons of this place was, the pro was it was a dairy farm. They made their own ice cream. I could have spent a buttload of money in the shop buying ice cream. Yeah. So, and it was good ice cream. Yeah. The con for me was, it was a farm. And I like farms, don't get me wrong. But Joni's used to that smell. I'm not. All right, so our next Harvest Host was in Dickinson, North Dakota, but it was a winery as well. Now this was Father's Day. Yeah. We spent the night, Sunday night, Father's Day to Monday. So.
Pro was the food was really good. For just being a winery, they really brought a lot of attention to their food, and we got prime rib, which was a specialty that night because it was Father's Day. So that was very enjoyable. A con, that would be tough. I mean, it doesn't hold a lot of Harvest Hosts. I think maybe 3 max.
Maybe.
And it was a little parking lot for rig-wise, but it was also nice because we got to connect with the people that were parked there with us.
All right, so for me with Fluffy Fields, the pros and cons. The pros, it was a really good meal. Even though we got there late, they had prime rib left. The place, it was a really nice winery. It wasn't a big property. The property wasn't huge like in Illinois. That one, Kickapoo Creek. that was a massive property. This wasn't a big property, but it was still a quaint little winery, and the food was good. For me, the con was, I felt like we were in a housing development area. There were a lot of houses up and down the road. That to me was just a little bit of a con, but it was a free place to stay, so you can't complain about it. It was still nice.
Yeah.
So the next place we stayed, after our North Dakota debacle, we stayed in Minnesota at a place called the Honeyberry Farm.
Yeah, if I have to pick one farm that we have been to, that would be my favorite one. We didn't even know about honeyberries, so we really got to learn about the honeyberries. But the owners kind of gave us a little bit of like one-on-one. They had to leave, so we got to go in and pick our own honeyberries, and you can weigh them and pay for them and stuff. So we were able to do that, and then we went back later after they came back and bought like jam from them.
Yeah.
And
honeyberry jam.
Fun. I would say the pro would be that you get to pick your own berries, and I wanted to do that this year. The con would be it was slightly tricky figuring out where to park, because the gentleman collected antique tractors, and you kind of had to weave around them.
It almost felt like it was a graveyard for tractors.
It did.
Until we learned what he was doing, that was my first thought is, these are just a bunch of old broke down dead tractors.
He had over 30 tractors there.
Yeah, for me at the Honeyberry, I don't care if I pick my own berries or not. I'd rather just go buy them somewhere. You know, that's just me. Two different people here. But it was really a cool experience. If you like staining your fingers up on berries, the farm wasn't the best looking farm because of all the tractors. That was my con. And then my pro was the honeyberries were fantastic that we got from it, and all the uses for it. So still, once again, I would go back there in a heartbeat.
Yep, I would go back there.
It was a good one. Then after the Honeyberry Farm, the K.I. Sawyer Heritage Air Museum. This was in just south of Marquette, Michigan.
Yes.
In the UP.
Yep.
Not far from where we are right now, about maybe an hour or so from where we are.
I did not want to stay.
An old Air Force base that was abandoned.
Yeah. And it just didn't appear safe to me. And if it wasn't for the couple that pulled in and stayed with us, and we kind of like just agreed, like, if you're gonna leave, we'll leave, or that's the way I put it. But they kind of felt the same way, but they were like, well, if you guys stay, we'll stay. And they kind of used our rig as a little bit of a security they were pulling a boat. I would say the pro was it was free. We didn't have to Patreon the business because we got there so late and then we left so early. They didn't really care. You could have given a donation. We didn't do that.
The museum is based on donations. There's no cost. Mm-hmm. It's just what you feel like donating. And
then the con was it just did not appear very nice.
Yeah. So for me, the cons far outweigh the pros in this one. Now, if I was in a need situation, I have to stop, I would stop there again. It wouldn't bother me too much. But my pro would be it was in a parking lot, so the parking lot was pretty flat. I mean, it was a really nice parking lot. The con, of course, was the Air Force base is abandoned. It is just a rundown mess. There were some shady characters all over the place that we saw. And then that leads us to where we are, the Bee Wise Farm, which is a honey farm, honeybee farm, and
she grows lavender.
Lavender farm,
flowers. Yep. This is a really nice facility, very hospitable, very accommodating too. They were getting ready to leave to go into town, so she reopened her store so we could go in and buy some honey. It was a different access than we thought, so you just kind of have to pull off the road and then pull back in here, so you're on dirt and it's very unlevel. Pro is the honey. I mean, I love this kind of stuff. I love farms.
And your con?
Probably just the pull off, like figuring that out, but she was right there. I mean, they say call in advance because there's no signal here. So call in advance while you have a signal. Let them know what time, and they'll be out here like waiting on you. And she did. She came out. We were on the road.
So I also like this property. I like this farm. I love honey. I'm a big fan of honey. So So pro of mine is that it's a really nice property, and you're up in the UP anyway. If the cons for me we're right here, parked off of M28 about 30, 40 yards off of the highway as another car goes by. We were heading west on M28, so to get into the property it was nice and smooth, just pull off of the road and there was no dip. But to get out to go west, which is where we're going, I either have to go back east and do a U-turn so I'm on level ground getting onto the road, or I'm going to go over I'm going to say about 1.5 or 2 foot ditch down to get up onto the road, which I can't do. You know, I don't want to do that pulling this rig.
But all in all, like, would we keep the Harvest Host membership? I say absolutely.
I definitely.
Yeah.
It's really changed the way we travel. If you've ever stayed in a rest area, if you've ever stayed at a Walmart, and for us, we try to travel long distance when we're actually on vacation, just our weekend getaways from home, normal weekend, we're not generally traveling for 16, 17 hours driving. But when we're going out west for a long time, we want to make up as much ground as possible in a day. So having a Harvest Host along the way, not having to worry about where we're going to stay, we've already got it booked.
Yeah, and a little bit of a piece of that puzzle would be that, yes, we are traveling and we're trying to get from A to B quickly as possible so we can enjoy that area. One of the things that Harvest Host has done for us this year is it's slowed us down a little bit.
Yeah.
We took 3 days to get out west, and normally it takes 2 days.
Yeah, for
so
us.
We're normally not that slow. And this year we were like, let's slow it down. Let's enjoy this membership because we have it. And let's make it part of the trip and not just, we're just transits going through. Even though we still were, and we didn't get to enjoy everything about each location. There was one more point we wanted to make about people that were a little hesitant about doing Harvest Host because they assume it's just wineries and breweries.
You can find those. Of course, you can find wineries and breweries, and there's nothing wrong with going to a winery or brewery to spend the night. And if that's not your thing, if you're not a drinker, the farms, the museums, and for a little more money a year, you can even add golf courses. And Harvest Host just bought out
Boondocker.
Yeah, Boondocker's Welcome. I don't know how that's going to fit into the game. I don't know if that's going to be a separate membership still, or if it's going to be part of this. Don't know. But for my money, $70 a year.
Yeah.
We got in before they raised the price.
It's $99.
So it's
now.
$99 a year now. But there's so many 10% offs out there.
Yeah.
So, but we're in it for like 67 or $70 for a year, and for my money, we can't beat this.
No, I mean, if we go to at least 3 a year, we feel like we've more than paid for it.
Yeah.
Even though we are Patreoning the place and spending money there, it's still to us better than just a campground. It really has changed the game of traveling.
So, where do you like to stay, and how do you like to stay when you're traveling? Is it a campground? Does it have to be a campground for you? Let us know in the comments below. I would like to know. There's no wrong way to do it.
Yeah. That's
the beauty of camping. There's no wrong way. And if you're glamping, you can join us anytime. You have anything else?
No.
All right, guys. Check us out in our next video. Happy glamping.